What Lansing means to me is grassroots.
We all know how hard it is to make it out of here, so all of us kind of work with each other. And when it's done the right way, like it's dope, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like a certain camaraderie there.
You never would think that a small city like Lansing, Michigan would have so many artists that loved hip hop.
The Midwest gets music from everywhere. You know, we don't discriminate. Everything is equally listened to, so we're influenced by so much more music.
And I've lived in quite a few different places, you know, and comparatively speaking, like Michigan has been the most important place, you know what I'm saying, as far as like the music goes.
There's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of cats that are hungry and want to do stuff, you know.
Third Degree, Ride Out, I mean, all those guys are real cool.
Man, Filthy, young cat, real hungry, real dope, you know what I'm saying, self-sufficient, you know, he records at his home, you know, stays busy.
Of course, FOS is like very pivotal to the shaping of what this scene is now.
Lansing itself, the city, has an extremely diverse musical movement in general. There's incredibly talented people here. They just don't have a huge outlet. And that's where Respiration comes in.
All right, so the way Respiration kind of jumped off was, there was another spot out here called the Temple Club. And it's like a bigger venue, so they would bring like some really dope, like KRS-One, Little Brother, Murs, like a lot of really dope artists. And we were pretty much like the go-to group for this manager at the Temple Club to have open up all these acts. So we're doing these shows at the Temple Club, and there used to be a booking agent that was here at Mac's Bar, and he contacted me to just do a show.
I remember like getting the email and then just replying to the email just randomly with this entire long list of like what would become Respiration, like this whole idea. And I was like, yeah, you know, we do a show, but actually I've been thinking about something else. What about doing something consistent?
We're trying to get ourselves going, you know, ourselves being artists. We want to get ourselves going, and that was the main thing. There were no real shows going on for us to, you know, get into. There were, you know, a couple events that were going on, but there was no real shows going on, and we took it upon ourselves to be the show instead of, you know, trying to get onto a show. We were like, well, let's create a show.
So May 2006 was the first one, and I mean, really, it was just to fill a void. Like, that's the only reason why we started doing Respiration, was because we felt like there was nothing like it. There was no one outlet that Lansing had where artists can come, they can develop, there'd be an open mic, you can bring out really dope artists from all around Michigan, and people actually are gonna like be feeling them.
Speaking for, you know, Clock and Verse, you know, who started it, you know, I think it turned out to be something way bigger than, you know, what they had in mind necessarily, you know, for the community, I guess you could say.
We really just became promoters out of default. Like, it was like we were promoters because no one else was really promoting and bringing people out. Mac's Bar would throw hip-hop shows before Respiration. Like, no one was ever really coming out here. It would be like 20 people out here like for a show, and we were like the first ones in a long time to throw hip-hop shows here.
So we started doing it. They really told us they didn't expect much. They were like, you know, if you break even, you consider yourself lucky. And the first night was just a success. Like, it was great. I didn't even expect the turnout like that. It was just a great turnout. And one of the things that was also dope to me about Respiration is, for the most part, it always felt like the crowd got what we were trying to do. I think they just wanted to create a venue, you know, just create something for us. But I mean, I don't think when they started, I don't think they realized like how instrumental it would be to the area, as far as like, you know, young rappers who, you know, are just starting off, you know what I mean, cats, you know, who hadn't really been out there like that before, like, you know what I'm saying, like the Filthies and the J Youngs and the, you know what I mean, and stuff like that.
Respiration was the first show I actually got to do a whole set. and in front of a pretty nice crowd. Because I had done other shows where like I did a set, but there was no one there, or the people just sat down. But like Respiration was the first like time they put me on, for lack of a better term.
It was a really rewarding thing to be able to expose people that regularly weren't hearing this great facet of hip hop to like great music, and it was a rewarding thing for me and for Versus to do.
And I've been in other places and done shows, local shows, something that you could equivalent of Respiration or something like that. Don't nobody want to, show nobody love or anything like that. The 5 people that you came with only come to watch you, and then they peace out or whatever, or they got their back to you or something like that. So it's definitely a vibe that allows MCs around here, I think, to flourish and grow.
We wanted a really diverse night. We wanted a night where people were coming out, because we wanted to build a reputation up from day one, and that's why we, every flyer for Respiration, it never says who's performing. It'll say hosted by FOS, it'll say the DJ that's DJing all night, but it'll never say who's necessarily performing. But people aren't necessarily coming out for a specific artist, they're coming out because they know the night is dope. They know that Respiration is not gonna disappoint them.
Oh, what's that? For the verse? Yeah, who's going first? Every time I step to this dang thing, I feel like I'm living my main dream. Gotta flow, man, I feel like a dang fiend. So we gonna just change scenes.
Yeah, we change scenes when we do the main thing, but we came up here to make the crowd straight sing. I'm in the room tonight, about to blow like some dynamite. Now Phil, check it.
Okay, the flow I rap be lava. You see right out dressed up like a taxi driver. Come through and ride in the zone, and people know if we take the show over here, we riding you home.
Yeah, I'm dressed up like a taxi driver, cause I stepped on the stage so I can do it live. And I spit it the truest, but right now feels dressed up like a Japanese tourist.
And to whom it may concern, if I don't connect, it ain't worth the paper earned. Some powerful statements learned, and I've seen some hard hearts make a major turn.
Then we start doing these shows, and we start bringing in, more Michigan artists, bigger artists, think people that, that the younger MCs, look up to, like I said, that we look up to, and things of that nature. And then, naturally, I think everybody, because that's me, that's, most people, it's like, after you could sit there and watch it so long, you're like, man, I wish that was me, man, that was just me. And that's the thing about Respiration, is like it gave people a spot. I gave people a chance for that to be them,
I did the open mic at Respiration, and I think I did it a couple times. And like, even before performing, I was a fan first. So it was like, I think from 06 to like 07, every single hip hop show that came into town, I was pretty much at it in the front row. So it was like, wow, like we see you all the time. So it was just like showing my face all the time. Like, I was like, he's gonna be here. Probably like, might as well let him perform. Like, he's gonna come regardless.
Well, I think that actually brings up another good aspect of Respiration as far as the open mic. Because again, this was really the first real hip hop open mic at a venue, a regular thing. And I think, we all know there was some good ones, there was some bad ones. But for what it was, I think that was a really major element of it too, and another thing that you guys brought in that nobody else had really done it correctly in that way, yeah.
If you were good, you got a lot of love, and that was what made you want to continue to come back. And it was just like, even if you were one of those people, it's kind of like wrestling, right? The analogies about main events, like when you start off in your open mic and people don't really know who you are, and you could be like beginning of the card. And I remember just me being young, at first I was like, well, I don't like rapping for people who aren't here. But then you realize you got dues to pay them shits. And so like we would do it like regardless of who was there. And after a while, when you start getting rewarded by going in the middle of the card, then you know that you've done what you need to do as an artist.
There was a standard, like,
Yeah, you couldn't do no bullshit.
It was to the point that like, if you didn't, I really like, in my mind, maybe it was just my mind, but I felt like if you didn't move up the ranks at Respiration, you're not gonna survive in the scene at all. Like, cause that was like the hub of the scene. So it was like, oh, you don't even get shows there. Like, no, you're not gonna do anything. Like, nobody knows you because nobody sees you.
He would just stand there, right? But we gotta turn the beat up though, real loud, now. Damn, bang, cause some people be a hospital who got 20 of
cool thing about Respiration too is just the fact that it's like, all right, you got your college students, you know what I'm saying? You got your East Lansing, your typical East Lansing residents, you got your Lansing residents, you got, all these different types of people, whether it was like, your underground hip hop, your mainstream hip hop people, whatever, they were all mixing together. And everybody was having a good time.
On the good nights, you get the artist, the artist is rocking and their energy is being propelled by the crowd is propelling them, and it's really reciprocal. It's a really, like I said at the beginning, it's a really intimate experience,
The crowd is really the reason that Respiration became what it was. It had nothing to do with me or Verse or any of the DJs or any of the, no offense, or any of the, like any one artist. It was all about the people and the way that they got behind the night like that, you know what I'm saying?
To me, if you wanted to pick one major player, actually, it would be the fans, the people that come out and support the music and support the scene. And understand when I say fans, all of us artists are also fans first. And I think that's part of what makes the Lansing hip hop scene, as I've experienced it, so wonderful, because everything comes from a fan's perspective. Shows are put on from a fan's perspective. Music is made for fans.
The people didn't buy into what we were trying to do. It would have just been like me and Verse on stage, like rapping to a bunch of other rappers and like and telling a bunch of other people to like it. But like what was really cool is the way people bought into like the message that we had and what we were trying to get across to people. It was definitely all about Lansing getting behind it.
So this will be another Last Take One TV. You might maybe hear on a clap solo album. It's not tracking from the B-boys. I mean, I can try. Let's see what you got. Oh! I'm not gonna dance with you though. Oh! Alright, let's see if I know this. This is very unrehearsed. Let's see how we can do this. Hold on.
The credibility of Respiration can never be what it was if artists like Othello, Ride Out, Third Degree, One Below, Finale, Invincible, Octane in the League, just USM, like tons of artists that have came out here, Majestic Legend, like the list goes on and on and on. And Filthy, of course, too. And it could never have been near what it was if these artists weren't out here. And the cool thing is, like, all of us are really cool with each other anyway. Like, Othello and me just played basketball like last week, like, that's my dude, and he's one of the dopest artists that I've ever known. Filthy, like, comes through all the time. Ride Out, I like grew up with.
It's really like a family for the most part. Like everyone who's like working, doing the same shows together. It's not like we just do shows. Like sometimes we may hang out.
I mean, that's what a lot of what it's about too, is a family type of thing. Not just the shows, but hanging out outside of that and learning and growing and everything else.
We're not just artists that do shows together. Like we really run in the same circles. So it's more than like, oh yeah, let's do the show. Make sure I get my money. It's more like, oh yeah, let's do the show. Oh, this is my boy. Like, how have you been? So it's more of like, it's really like a movement, and it's more than a movement because even if we don't make it, like I think that love and camaraderie will still be there.
People look at, say, how New York's falling apart, you know what I'm saying, in hip hop because of all the bickering. But, the South came up because everybody was working together. It's one of those things, just this reality of the situation. It's like the more that you work together with people, the more that you can accomplish, and especially when you're in a place like Lansing where, the eye isn't on you.
The thing that was so great about Respiration is, like I said, it differed from the other hip-hop showcases that were in the area. This one, it was like pretty much being in front of a crowd of critics. Not critics in a bad way, but people that, lived and breathed and studied hip-hop. So not only that, but a lot of the people there were actual performers. One of the performers from the area that I really look up to, a guy named Othello, when we performed, he was one of the guys that was in the crowd, and you know, as we rock. I had no idea who he was at the time, but, you know, performing, you know, he said, you know, great set, this and that. And then he got on the stage. So it's like, okay, this is just another guy from the crowd that's thinking. And then he get up there and he does it 100 times better than we did. But it really gives you a chance to be the fan and study and take notes.
For people who just really don't know where to start, just going from basics and moving their way through their craft, to have somewhere where people aren't gonna like, it's not like the Apollo, they're not waiting to laugh at you and get the Sandman out to pull you by the neck with a cane. It's just like, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. But you will at least get a chance to show people that there's potential there. Because I know that even as an artist now, when I see younger artists, I'll see them in the crowd. And then with some people, oh, there's potential. I would like to work with them, see what we can do. And I know that there were some artists that looked out for us when we started out like that.
You know, it's one of those things, you know, cliche line, you know, real recognize real. You know, it's like when you're an artist, you can see, you know what I'm saying, you can see that in another person, you know what I mean? Or you can see even, you know what I'm saying, people have the ability, even if you're not great, you know what I'm saying, people have the ability to get better. And if you can see that somebody's heart is in something for the right reasons, you know what I'm saying, I feel like we have a responsibility as, you know what I'm saying, as older artists in the area or whatever, to help, you know what I'm saying, nurture that type, you know what I'm saying, to help nurture and help that talent grow, instead of just being like, nah, I can't get out of my face.
Like I said, it was a building ground. Respiration turned me into a different artist. One thing I'll say most rappers start off with a default template of a rapper. They rap what most people rap about, and I was one of the same ones. I was surprised to hear one of my favorite artists, who also was a regular at Respiration, a guy named Filthy. He started out the same way.
Well, first and foremost, we would always talk about this, but like the progression of Filthy and Jay Young in the course of the time that Respiration was around. You can remember the first Respirations where he was just on the open mic and still kind of gaining his, like, you know, understanding of who he was as an artist. And then you look at him then, and then you look at him 3 years later, you know, where he's at right now, dropping his EP, you know, really touring across the Midwest, not even really restricted to Lansing or even Michigan anymore. Right. And I'm sure Filthy would tell you, Respiration gave him that outlet. Like, the outlet is such an important thing, and it also gave people like Red Pill, Shiv, Jay Young, kind of almost a blueprint to go off of. Like, okay, so we can do something like this here. It's been done, so let's do it again.
Like, I want to go farther than everyone, you know, like. And not to say, like, I want everyone to excel, but, like, everything they're doing, I want to do that and more. But definitely, like, I look up to all of them, like, and aspire to, like, do some of the things that they do.
Why did Respiration get canceled?
Why did Respiration get canceled? Well, to put it bluntly, because Chuck from Max Bar canceled it.
This is my last show at Respiration, man. This is what I want to be remembered by. Farewell, I guess. Let me tell y'all my story with it. It started way back then, wasn't there at that second, but I could jump in where I passed in the second.
To me, Max, as like, you know, shitty as of a place as it is, and everything falling apart in it, and the sound issues that were constantly kind of happening, and I mean just everything. It was like every month was something new. But Max was like the physical thing that Respiration, like they went, the vibe of Max. Exactly, Respiration wouldn't have had that same vibe anywhere else.
This is really about Chuck, not Max. The staff at Max still love him, awesome, but Chuck decided he's gonna book this band, and I guess the band is racist, homophobic, just everything you can imagine down the line, basically exactly opposite of what we're about. I mean, obviously, we all do hip hop, everything. None of us is for censorship, per se. Our feeling, and especially the thing that hit me the hardest, was you can say whatever you want, that's fine. Somebody can stand outside of my house and yell, fuck Fresh Base all day long. But the thing is I'm not gonna let you come in my house and say that. And because of everything that we had done with Respiration, with all the other shows, and really we yes, we benefited from doing hip hop shows at Max, but that was in our house and it was our job to say, no, we're not gonna have this here. And then even after all that, then we got to the point where like, all right, we're not even gonna have us here anymore.
And that was one of the times we really came together as a family, and we really spoke to the manager like, why would you promote this? This shouldn't be in this area. There's so much diversity in this area. And we actually got them to reschedule a different show over that show instead of that one. Not only did we get another show, but it was a diversity show which brought together hip hop and rock. So there was hip hop act, then a rock act, hip hop, back and forth. That was one of the favorite shows I've ever been a part of and actually witnessed in my life. And that really just spoke for diversity. But in the end, it still caused problems between him and the management. And it was a really deep story.
I mean, but I don't really hold a grudge. Like, I was glad for the time that Respiration was around. And I mean, it happened, it happened the way it happened, but it was bound to end at some point. And I'm very, very grateful that it ended while so many people that, remembered it finally were still around. Yeah. And it still ended kind of on top. Just certain factors had to play a certain way for Respiration to exist, you know what I'm saying? A lot of those things would have to get replicated, but I think that, Jay Young and Filthy and Biz and a lot of the other artists that are younger that are kind of coming up in this area right now, and even ones that we don't even know about, you know what I'm saying, that never even experienced Respiration but might have heard of it, but were even maybe too young to even get in at the time, are the ones that are going to carry the torch.
I think as far as like where does the community go now, I think that's where the Jay Youngs and the saying the amateurs and the Golden Childs and and the Sinceres and the Filthies and stuff, whatever, have to figure that out. And not to say without any help from us, but the people who are younger and love this have to keep it alive.
Everybody do Respiration, what up? Y'all made this a great experience. I got one more track.
Damn, hands up everybody in place. Here we go. We're gonna start it off nice and easy. Just like this. Hey, everybody in the place up.
Well, this is a redefinition. This is the successor to Respiration. This is actually our second year. We started it in November 2009.
Basically, me and Jay Young, we basically like joined forces to create it because we felt there's a void in the Lansing hip hop scene.
A void from what? What was missing?
A monthly, like Respiration was gone, and we needed something. There was nothing steady. Like, there was no like steady show or any staple show to let people know that there's an actual scene here.
So, and you know what, Lansing got a whole lot of dope MCs and producers and whatnot. Y'all make some noise for what's happening in Michigan right now with the excessive amount of talent doing stuff for a while. Now, what y'all doing?
Everybody's got their role. It's kind of like The Wire, where you're seeing that old guard is starting to change and new people are now equipped to take that role. And so when people say things that they look at me and P like we could possibly be the new FOS, to be the ones to represent that brand of hip hop again, like it's a compliment, but it's also a responsibility. And we understand that much more greatly than we did then. And it's of course much more than we did before that.
For me, it's like, it's humbling because I remember when like I came in and when I'm like just that kid that went to every single show, and just like now it's like, wow, now I'm in a position that I gotta look for that kid that's in every single show, because that could be the next me, or that could be the next Jay Young, or the next Clocks, or the next Fresh Face, and you gotta be willing to take that chance since that chance was taken on you.
It's Othello and Clockwise. Something for the capital city. What up, Vallis? Peace, Lansing. It's for y'all. Check it. My position here in Michigan's been interesting. I got to rub shoulders with some of the illest in the business. My 5 fingers fit the mitten so fresh that even though I'm from the West, I'm Earl Flynn them. Both hands spinning them, twisted in the middle for the W. Westward bound when the winter comes. Bitter due to family and friends. Living in capital, it's been a pleasure having opportunities to rap with you. Let's flash back a few. At the first Respiration, new Jack on the scene. I went no hesitation. Left the crowd feeling pleased, standing ovation. statements, hold and wait like wheelchairs and old patients. Checked in with no co-payment, stuck around to see a boat changing the scene when no shows came in. Temple Club shuts down, Max starts to bubble. Every promoter in the city double booking trouble. But Clock knows the deal, Filthy knows the deal, Patino knows the deal, Sincere, you know the deal. Hustle, so I send a big up to Ruckus and Collectives, homie, fresh bass, I love you. Lyrically in Yellow Cake, Will Ketchum, Jay Young, Big Walt, Self says, Vigilant, you're so tough. Alias and Third Degree, Thelonious Bomb. Golden Child, hold it down like a bolt of the sun. On piece the verses and adverse, code of the cuss, cultural vibe. Leonard Spear, Chuckle, what up? Red Pill, Spot, Omega, shift, do your thing, Lansing, sincerely yours. I'll be back on tour.